There is no real passion. That's a fallacy. It's meant to trap people, as far as I'm concerned. You acquire the passion. You don't just, oh my God, I want to do this. And then, no. How would you even know? You have to have experience in life and triumphs and failures in order to know what you like and what you don't like and what you're going to pursue and what you're not going to pursue. So you keep getting better, and then you acquire the passion for it because you get so good at it. And then your natural talents, the fear is gone because you put enough work in. Yeah. Where you're not self-conscious anymore, and you just put the real self out there, and then you become invincible.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I've got a special guest today, Las Vegas local, Las Vegas native.
Right.
My good friend, Jeremy Lewis, that he doesn't know I've been his friend, but he's like, we're about to become friends because I never met him up until
ignorance is bliss. I'm in the Matrix, so I'll take it.
I never met him up until this point, but you guys, Jeremy is someone who went from millionaire to rock bottom to one of the top luxury realtors in Las Vegas. He rocks it on social media, which is how I know him in the first place. He's giving back to his industry in a big way by teaching what's made him successful in real estate and on social media. Jeremy, thanks for being with me today.
Pleasure. I appreciate you reaching out. So I'm excited. So, what do you want to talk about?
Man, so let's just talk. So my audience varies from insurance agents to real estate professionals, mortgage people, like just kind of variety, but right. I don't want to just keep it insurance. So that's why I reached out to you, just somebody that's crushing it with social media in a professional industry, somebody that knows Las Vegas. And honestly, I just wanted to know you. So
I appreciate it. I love it.
But so tell my audience how you got started in real estate and then how you got into luxury real estate.
Gotcha. Well, I'll take it. It's going to go back to all the way when I was 8 years old. So my father and grandfather and other cousins and uncles were the Lewis Homes family. So we're the largest home builder in the entire state for 30 years, from the 70s till 2001, when KB bought us out for over $500 million. And I had to go to the drawing board at that point. But rewinding it back to, I was 8 years old, I've worked on over 1,000 home sites from the time I was 8 to 20, so 12 years. So I went to, digging foundations, to concrete, to framing, to stucco, to electrical, HVAC, plumbing. You could go on and on and on. So there's nothing about a new home or a single-family residence or a townhome, or we built apartment complexes as well, that I don't know about, to be, respectfully. And that was my background. And again, when I was 20 years old and about to be 21, well, just under, my family sold the company. I was fucking pissed. I was ready to go. I put the work in and ready to slide into that position in a few years or whenever I got done with college. I was at UNLV at the time, and they pulled the rug from right on under me, so I had to figure something else out. And I got into real estate a few years later after I graduated. I had my bachelor's in history at UNLV, and I was bartending at a restaurant called Del Frisco's. And this is 2003, and I was killing it. I was making like $4,500 a month, 4 days a week, and that's like $8,000 a month in today's money with inflation.
Right.
So my former original broker hit me up, and we were childhood friends, and he called me, and we know each other since we were like 12. And he called me. He started asking me how much money I was making, and I was like, "What the fuck's going on?" Because he never talked about money ever the whole time we ever knew each other. And I was like, well, I'm killing it. I told him what I told you. I was like, I'm working 4 days a week, making like $4,500 a month. He's like, well, I'm making $4,500 a day. So what are we talking about here? And it's like from the movie Wolf of Wall Street. 8 years before it came out, I was like, nothing. I work for you now. Cluck. I fucking quit.
Yeah.
And then within a year, I was a millionaire.
So he was
real estate.
He was a
broker. Yeah.
Broker. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
He owned his own real estate brokerage. And I was like, I'm working with you now. That's it. I quit my job immediately. I literally got off the phone, like straight from the movie. I fucking quit. Within the same year, 2004, I was a millionaire. And you keep going. A few years later, I made over $1 million until, 2008, market crashed. I went bankrupt, lost everything I had. So that's the kind of getting to that point. And I didn't know what to do at that point. I lost everything. I moved in. I had 13 houses and 6 cars and 2 Ferraris because you need more than one. It was stupid shit, just to be honest.
What colors?
A red one, and the one was my favorite was a midnight blue.
Really?
Yeah, a deep midnight blue. I fucking love that car. But is what it is. And so lost all my cars, had to have my dad lease me a car because they all got repossessed. I lost 13 or 12 of my 13 houses, and I moved in 3 roommates and my now ex-wife into a house, the house I lived in, the last house I had. Otherwise, I wasn't able to pay the mortgage if they didn't move in.
Okay.
And then my mother, who's I like to think, a pioneer, big-time attorney in town. She's one of the first women to have her own law firm. She opened in 1991. She started Ed Bernstein's work comp department in 1988 out here. And so I asked her for a job, and she's like, fuck you and your job. She's like, go back to bartending. She knew I couldn't because the economy crashed. She's like, you can go to law school, and I'll pay for it, and you can litigate for at the lower courts because you can do that under workers' compensation laws. You already know that, and under my supervision, under statute. I was like, all right, go back to bartending. She knew I couldn't do that, so I had no choice. So I hid out in school, worked for her, and psychologically recovered. I couldn't sell a bar of gold to like a homeless person at that time in my life because I just lost everything. I couldn't do anything. I was worthless. And so,
but you got to talk to people bartending.
Yeah, but I was from losing everything I have. I went from making $100,000+ a month, and this is 2007. That's like $200,000 a month almost in today's money. It's like a huge amount of money to making $398 a week. Working for my mommy because I had no other option.
Okay.
It was a high place to fall from.
Yeah.
I was not a happy camper. I was barely functioning, to be honest with you. And yeah, before that I was drinking quite a bit, but that got worse. I was taking Valium or Xanax every night. I couldn't fucking stand the side of myself in the mirror. And I just didn't want to deal with any of my shit. And losing all my money exacerbated that, legal term. After I got out of school, I went right back in, real estate. I hated school at the time, but when I look back at it, I was like, oh my God, thank God it happened like that because I'd litigate over 3,800 cases. You don't get a pause. That's why I can go one take unedited. And no one can really do that in the real estate space in the country. Well, that's the reason why. Because you don't get a pause when you're in court. Hold on a second. No, you have to think on your feet. You have to move. You have to fucking do it. Yeah. You don't have a choice. Your client's depending on you. My mother's depending on me. I'm depending on myself. I got to pay my bills. And so you won't believe what you can do when you have to fucking do it.
Yeah.
So I got back to real estate. I still wandered, trying to wrap this up, the story. I just wandered like Moses in the desert for another 3.5 years. I was like, okay, I'm back selling real estate. I was getting by. I was doing fine, maybe better than most. But I was like, what can I fucking do that no one else can take away from me? I was like, what is it? I was like, oh, I lost my business and my money and this and a car. What can I do where that can never happen again? And then I got sober and I got back in the gym. I was pretty athletic for most of my life. And about 8 months after, like I said, the fog wore off from all the drinking and pills and being out of shape, I was back. And this is like 2015. And I realized, I was like, no one can take me away from me. I was like, how the fuck do I make that happen though? So, but I was on to something. I was finally back and clear-headed. And what you see now, early 2016, time came around. I was doing an open house at a $1.2 million listing in McDonald Highlands. And that was a big deal back then. It's in 2016. There's the luxury market had not emerged. It was a big deal. And I was like, I don't know what happened. I called my girlfriend, but she wasn't available at the time. So I called my mom, who lives in McDonald Highlands. I was like, can you come and film me? I'm going to do something. And so it was fucking terrible. She filmed me. If you go, it's on my Instagram. It's on my Facebook. I look scared shitless. I'm like this, like deer in headlights, fucking terrified. But I got through it. And I was like, half my head was cut off. Back then, you had to like have a grid screen on Instagram. There's no Instagram story for all you kids out there, way back when. And so like you had to move the screen up and down, and like my mom didn't know what she was doing. Like half my head's cut off. It was pretty terrible. And I was terrible, but I was like, oh my God, I can do this. Like no one can take, no one can take this away from me. So the next day I was doing another open house, and I brought my sister and my nephew. My 2 little nephews are like 3 and 4 years old. And like, we did the Macarena. It was like 10 times better than the last one. It still was terrible. And I was like, this is what I'm going to fucking do. And no one can stop me. And I'm going to try my best for the first time in my life and not compare myself to my parents or anyone else. And if it doesn't work out, I can fucking live with that.
Yeah.
And I was 35 years old, and that was the first time I said that.
Okay.
And that's it. Everything else is kind of built on that.
Did you go from were you always doing luxury real estate, or it was like regular and then you kind of like
no, you have to you have to. Everyone sees other luxury agents or myself, I'm flattered, killing in luxury space. Now, everyone starts somewhere. Everyone sees me, oh my God, they didn't see the, I think it's like 12,000 Instagram and Facebook stories I've done to like get there. They don't see the work and the time that it took to get into the space. And so, no, I didn't always sell luxury. I was most of the sales in 2016, 2017, and started breaking. And after like a couple of years, 2018 and 2019, I kind of took me 3 years.
Gotcha.
Of intentionally going after it.
Gotcha. What's the key to I guess breaking into luxury? Is it just a network, or is it just a network?
It is a network, obviously. Like I said, I know rich people. I speak rich. These are subtleties. No one's talk about it. I'm fucking talking about it.
Yeah.
Yes, I grew up. My family built half the city. I've been around.
I didn't know that, by the way. So.
It's all good. I don't advertise it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And so I've been around, like you said, they're geniuses, home builders, bankers, doctors, lawyers, just the best and the brightest my entire life from a little boy. And so my aunts used to tell me like 3 years old, I'm barely 3. I'd have it be like having full on like arguments, like at the top of the stairs, yelling at my mother, my lawyer mother. And she's like, why are you yelling at him? He's a toddler. He's 3 years old. Like I would get into her head because I could speak like an adult. And so I had that my whole life, and I decided to leverage that got me there in, like I said, less than 3 years. And so it usually takes 5 to 7 years to get into luxury if you fucking bust your ass and work 60 to 80 hours a week, just selling whatever you can get.
Yeah.
So people want to have this vision of, I want to be this or I want to be that. You know what? I take whatever I can get. I work with anyone. I don't care if it's, 200,000 to 25 million. If you're a real buyer, seller, investor, I will work with you this day. Just because I don't post that doesn't mean I don't. I have a deal right now, $400,000. I'm happy than a pig in shit about the deal.
Right.
My client's legitimate. He's an investor. And so, and all the way up the spectrum. And so I think everyone's looking at it the wrong way, to be honest. Not everyone, but most people, they don't see what the work it takes to get to a certain point, and they're not they either don't see it or they're not willing to do it. Either way, it doesn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it took me so much fucking time and effort and work to get into the luxury space, because I was like, I have a natural niche for that because of my background, my, like I said, family background and my education. This would be an easy thing, easier than for most. I mean, yeah, I did in about 30 months.
Gotcha. So one of my questions, you kind of addressed it, but you've leveraged social media in a big way, posting, like when I see you, I see kind of me in a way, like yeah. I'm just the insurance agent version of you, which is just like shameless, just I don't care, and just turn the camera on and just hit me up for a quote, hit me up for insurance, right? But it looks natural to you, right? Were you always that comfortable in front of camera, or it took some
steps? That's what I'm saying. I encourage everyone to go. That's the beautiful thing about social media, is that it is a social proof. And there's a timeline, a chronology, a history. Go to my Facebook, go to my Instagram, scroll to 2016. It'll give you some real fucking perspective. You're like, oh my God. Oh my God. Literally, you can watch years of evolution and years of adaptation and innovation and change, or I wouldn't be here. And so, but to your other point is that's what I was afraid most of my life, to really try my best, put who I really was out there, because I was afraid of being rejected by the world and others and whatever that was. For me, I was insecure about it. That mattered to me. And then when I didn't, that's when everything started to take off. When I really, you can tell I don't give a fuck, because I don't. Mm-hmm. I am who I am. I don't pretend. If you took me, or if you were in a room, I wasn't in it, and someone brought me up, or you brought me up, and let's say there's 10 people in the room, 5 people will be like, oh my God, I fucking love this guy. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and 5 might be like, fuck him, he's garbage. I can't stand him. But not one would say he's fake. I'm fake.
Yeah.
Or not real. And like, I can't stand this. I can't stand that. Not one would be like, he's full of shit.
Yeah.
And that's a lost thing. Most people they don't keep their word. They are fake. They have a facade. and you don't know where they stand with anything. And I hate that. And so I try and project the opposite of that in every which way. And if I go too far, I'm doing that on purpose because I want to draw such a stark contrast with people that are fucking full of shit, because it needs to stop. It's a terrible thing in business and in life, and can't be straightforward because of whatever. I don't give a shit. I was all about excuses and I was a victim, all that shit for 35, 36 years of my life. Now I realized that mentality ruined me. So I don't take it from anyone else.
Yeah.
It's not helping them. It's tough love. And no one wants to eat tough love. Everyone's easy love. Love is not easy.
The good news about when nobody's watching your stuff in the beginning, it's like, that's the blessing. No one's going to see it. So you got nothing to worry about, you know?
There's no reference point. No, everyone that was clapping for me like, oh, that's great. Ooh, look at you. Hercules, you know, go, go, go.
Yeah.
Then, yes, once you get a certain to the level, then then they expect fucking magic to happen every time. And you better bring it. You better change. You better keep delivering, or you're going to fall by the wayside, or you'll crumble under the pressure. And that's on you. It's not on everyone else.
Yeah. Was there something that you did using social media where it finally just started clicking for you, or was it more so just the consistency over time?
Yeah, I just put myself out there. Again, I got better. You can't do anything. I don't give a shit. Selling insurance, real estate, cooking hot dogs. I'm not kidding. If you don't, there is no real passion. That's a fucking fallacy. It's meant to trap people, as far as I'm concerned. You acquire the passion. You don't just, oh my God, I want to do this. And then, no, how would you even know? You have to have experience in life and triumphs and failures in order to know what you like and what you don't like and what you're going to pursue and what you're not going to pursue. So anyone's telling you otherwise, you just can just wake up at 20, 22, 25, or even 30 years old, or even close, whatever. They're full of shit. They're completely full of shit. And so you do hard things. You fail at them. You keep trying, and then you keep getting better, and then you acquire the passion for it because you get so good at it. And then your natural talents play in because the fear is gone because you put enough work in.
Yeah.
Where you're not self-conscious anymore, and you just put the real self out there. And then your whatever talents, natural talents that you do have, it combines without you even trying. And then you fucking become invincible. That's the process.
I love that, man. You nailed it. You literally just spoke that exactly how it is.
I try my best, the people are not, don't get things because they can't, no one ever articulated it to them, or they can't articulate to yourself. If you can't articulate what you want, you better fucking figure it out. Because if you can't say it to someone else, that's not for them, that's for you. When I tell people when I'm telling you all this shit, that's to reaffirm my nod that I don't have any limiting beliefs in myself, but I did in the past. It's not really for you. It's not really for you by the byproduct is that it might help you, might learn from it. You might be inspired. Great. I love that. But it's really just as much for me as it is for you when I say it, to remind myself who the fuck I am.
Right. Yeah. Nobody was passionate about what they were doing. They sucked at it at first. It's impossible to
yes,
something that
I was not like this.
Good at it.
Nobody is like, you're like, oh my God, this guy really believes in what he's doing. Yes, I do. It didn't start like that. Anyone who told you they started like that, they're liars. I get the camera, all the cameras, they're fucking liars. Don't believe that, because then you're never going to want to start. They're projecting they see you as a threat, or they're intimidated, or whatever the fuck's going on with them. Who cares? When anyone offers me any advice when it's unsolicited, I always do the opposite. Every time. It's different when if I'm if you ask me, and different story. Right. I don't, a completely different story. If I'm you don't ask me, I'm like, hey Nick, I am making so much fucking money, I don't even know what to do with it. I'm popping bottles and fucking models. That means I'm broke and I live in my mom's basement. But if you ask, hey Jeremy, what's going on with your business and your finances? It's brain science. It's 97% of the time you're going to get the complete truth from someone.
Yeah.
And so all unsolicited information is always bullshit, no matter what it is.
Yeah. Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. So exactly. So when someone offers you, says you can't, or you shouldn't, or it's hard, that's their projection of their own self-limiting beliefs they're putting onto you, because they're afraid you might succeed where they won't.
Yeah. With social media, what are some things, and not just in your industry? I know that you help a ton of realtors. I've seen you do workshops.
Yeah, I've realtors, title, lenders, like coaching clients. I've done work for law firms, a yoga studio, so all business owners.
Yeah.
And so,
what are some things that they can do that would help with social media that would impact their business, like today? Like, what's one thing that they can do right away?
You have to put your money where your mouth is.
Okay.
You can't just put your time and your money. You have to create content. You have to spend money on that content. You have to produce it every day. If you don't have the money to do it, start producing it without any money, and earn the money and put it into you have to invest in yourself. That was a big thing that was missing for me. So in 2019, I finally did I was like, okay, I've earned the right to do my first networking event is a luxury event. It was at Blue Herons, their flagship at the time in Seven Hills in Marquise. Is $8.5 million place. And I was like, I put up $7,000, of my own money to do that event, even though I raised like $15,000. Wasn't enough. I put it up. I was like, fuck, what am I gonna have? I'm throwing a party, $7,000 party? Fuck this. And I was like, that's the lie. That no, this is an investment, and you have to build for the future. And you expect anything in return from it, that's why you're gonna stay broke. So you have to put your money and your time out there and not expect an outcome. You just have to do it because it's the right thing to do. And then the money and the opportunities and everything just falls out of the sky, and you can never predict it. And it's pretty good. It's pretty awesome when you let that happen.
Right.
But you have to. It's scary.
And social media, it's to today's version of what the newspaper was once upon a time.
Yeah.
The yellow
TV, like
commercials,
and it's free. Essentially, you're spending way less. Yeah, but if you won't put yourself out there, you're like, I'm not good at it. No shit. You're never going to be good. I was not good at it either. I was actually terrible. I have it on camera and on photo of me being terrible. So does that mean since I was terrible then, well, how am I succeeding now if I was terrible then? If you're always going to stay bad. No, you're always going to stay bad if you don't put any effort in, or if you're like, it's not consistent. So everyone looks for a trick. And so I think that's what you're asking. Some trick or some like get rich quick or no. Thousands of stories, hundreds of videos, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I have a training course, teaches people how to do this. It cost me $48,000 to produce that course.
Did you invest in things yourself when you were learning social media?
Once I learned it, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just to produce my social media training course cost me almost $50,000 in my own money. I didn't know if anyone's going to buy it or what would happen. I had to do that.
Right.
And like you said, the evolution, all those things, paying for the event, to create content. Now, like you said, I had the luxury of there was no professional content in 2016, 2017, 2018, barely anything in 2019. So I was able to dominate with my head, my balls, and my cell phone. That's all I had. That's all you needed.
I like that.
It's just true. That's all you really need when it comes down to it. And so I did that, and then the money came from that, and I took that money instead of like, my money. No, I put it right back into it.
Right.
And that's how I leveled up faster than anyone.
Because your videos now look immaculate with especially like I've seen some of the multi-million-dollar houses. Like there's the drone going far out. But you got to do it that way with those type of houses.
Yeah, people
right?
Like think I just fell out of bed and then created that shit. Hell no.
Yeah,
hell no. Even with unlimited resources, you couldn't.
Yeah. That's
why you don't see people doing that. There's a lot of people, plenty of money. They couldn't do that shit. Doesn't matter how good you're a videographer, photographer, producer, set director. And I have some of the best in the world. And I mean that. I'm not saying they are some of the best in the world. No, it's because I became the best first. Then I added my partners and collaborators you needed around me. But it starts with you. No matter what industry you're in, whether it's social media, you didn't just, I own a insurance brokerage. Look at me. Buy my insurance. I don't have to do anything. Just show up. No, you didn't start out just like that. You built yourself up.
Yeah.
And I keep saying it because people need to understand it, because they can understand it, because they can just look at every fucking person they know. Nobody started. My mother didn't start to have her own law firm, and now she's, successful 30 years. Yeah. 38 years.
She just didn't quit.
Yeah. She kept going, setback, one step back, two steps forward. Started there, got screwed here. Like you said, if you haven't been ripped off, lied to, fucked over, you're nobody in this business. You're nobody in any business. You have not tried. You have not put yourself out there. You have not succeeded whatsoever.
Yeah.
So take it as a good thing instead of looking at everything as a fucking negative. I'm a victim, blah, 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 to whatever social media and society tells you, it's someone else's something or someone else's fault. No, it's your fucking fault. And learn from it instead of being like, oh my God, why did this happen to me? A little bitch like that, just to be honest with you. So I'm not judging anyone. I needed to change that. And that's what really turned my life around, how I looked at myself. It wasn't about the content that, social media. That's why I don't really talk about it too much. The kind of content I was doing in social media, any of that stuff. I saw myself in a completely victim, negative, whack-ass way. And when I stopped looking at myself like that, which was a process, didn't happen overnight, things got better, literally in complete conjunction with that.
I got a question. What's the most embarrassing moment that you've had, either making content or on stage or
I don't really get embarrassed, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I did an event. I'll say it's just a thing. I don't really have problems. Like I said, that's where I feel most comfortable, in front of 500 people or 1,000 or whatever it is.
Good skill to have.
Or on camera. But I remember I did an event about a year ago, last January, and I did an event, and I was trying to quote Tony Robbins, and it's like, and I kept getting it wrong, and then the crowd had to correct me because I was finally I tried 3 fucking times, and I don't have a problem with that. I was like, weak people create bad times. I couldn't get it right, and then finally everyone was laughing at me. That's probably my most, I guess, embarrassed, but it didn't really bother me at all.
Right.
I don't know why shit like that.
Yeah.
It just doesn't bother me. People actually like that, to be honest with you, because it looked like, oh, he's not a paid actor. He's not a commercial.
Seriously.
Yeah, he makes mistakes. Oh, if he can fucking dominate and kill it, and he makes mistakes, oh, it means I can do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, if people want to look at it like, oh my God, it's embarrassing, or that, no, not really. It probably showed 30 or 40 people in that room. They're like, oh, he's not just this character that I see on social media or whatever. He has faults. He makes mistakes like everyone else. So I can put myself out there too. So I don't have to be perfect.
Yeah, I like it. I was excited to ask you that question. So I read a study that 75% of agents fail in the first year.
Yep.
And then within 5 years, 87% of real estate agents fail. The statistics are pretty close to the insurance industry. So it sounds like a universal thing, but maybe it's a little bit more for real estate agents. Why do you think that is? Because I know that when people are getting their licenses and they're studying for it, their eyes are lit up, like, I'm going to crush it. I'm going to do so good. And, and they promote themselves for a little stint, and then they're just not promoting themselves. And then it's a clear indicator that, they probably quit. Or why do you think that is, coming from that industry?
I'm going to say this, respectfully. I don't think I know why it is, because it happened to me, and it's just human nature. So people need to have a clear intent and combined with an elevated emotion. That's a fancy way of saying people need to have a what and a why. Everyone has a how. How do I do something and focus on that? And they're doomed for failure if you do that. Anyone. It has nothing, it's not personal. And so that's the problem. Because if you have what? Oh, my mommy said, I should be a realtor. My auntie's in the real estate business, or whatever, whoever it is. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? That's not you don't have a what? That's their fucking what. Or you're broke. Oh, I'll get in real estate because I'm broke. Or I'm bored. Or I don't know. Whatever that is, that you have no what. You're doomed for failure. 100%. It's not personal. And it not only let's say you have a what, I really want to do this. If you don't have an elevated emotion, you'll burn out. That's why people go to the gym, they're like, oh my God, I want to fucking get jacked, or I want to get in great shape. And 3 weeks later, they're done. They kill it for 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 years. But they don't have the why. It's just sounds like a good idea. There's no passion behind it. There's no such thing as you have to have discipline. And motivation is not going to be there. 90% of shit I do, I don't want to fucking do it. I have a duty to do it because I'm a grown ass man. And that has to be enough. And so you're not going to feel this warm and fuzzy feeling that these lies are being portrayed, like you said, every which way. So I get it. But the truth is, you have to have a what, the why. The why is what gets you. Your real what, not because anyone else or anything else or any conditions tell you to do something. You're I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
But then you have, like you said, the why. I want to be able to take care of my family. I want to have this, like, and then fucking want it, like really want it, not like it was someone else's idea.
Yeah.
And so it can't be inception. I can't, if I'm really good at getting in people's heads, I really am. And so that's literally especially on the luxury level where the egos and politics and psychology reign supreme, is that my clients need to think that it's their idea. So I literally my whole job is to perform inception, is to do that. Because otherwise, egos and other things get in the way. It has nothing to do with whether I'm right or wrong, or whether that's what the property, the investment, commercial, residential, doesn't fucking matter. And so that's the trick, is that you have to perform inception on yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so it has to be your idea. It can't come from the what and the why. Can't come from any other source, but from within. That's what I was missing 35, 36 years of my life. It was just what everyone else wanted me to do. Or I thought I had to do this because my parents did that or they did that. It was literally, the wind fucking blew.
Yeah.
It ruined me.
What would you say is one of your biggest whys?
That was the why, was like, I went bankrupt. Then when I got out of school and I went back to the field, like you said, 3.5 years, I was like, what can I do? What the fuck can I do? I never want to feel like this again. No one can take this away from me. I was like, what can no one take away from me? No one can take away me, my essence away from me. So that I found it. That was the why, because I didn't want to lose everything again. I was like, how do I not lose everything again? Do this. And that drove me, because that's where the why. I never wanted to go broke again. I never wanted to lose everything I had materially again. And it fucking fueled me. Everyone's like, you're on one. I'm like, yeah, this is my second chance. There won't be a third for me.
Yeah.
And so people are like, oh, yeah, whatever. They'll always get another opportunity. Fuck no, that's a lie. No, you get opportunities. You blow them, you don't get another one. And if you think you're banking on that, you might as well just liquidate everything you have and go fucking put it on green or, black, red, whatever on the roulette wheel. You might as well do that. I'm serious. You got a better shot at like coming up like that. I'm serious.
Gotcha. So to recap, a lot of agents fail because it wasn't their idea. They're not willing to suck at it long enough to become good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Enough why. The how's irrelevant. It's kind of what you're alluding to.
You learn the how along the way.
Yeah.
That's why everyone's got it backwards. Everyone's focused on, how do I become a successful real estate agent, instead of like how that's the result is from the what and the why. You have to have a what, and you have to have a why. That's how you become successful. You learn the details along the way.
Yeah.
I don't care how smart you are, how good looking you are, connected you are. If you don't gain the experience in whatever field you're in, you're never going to get there. That's the how. But you can't get the how until you actually are doing it, trying. Then you learn the how. Yeah. How, and it becomes easier. Because if you just want to go skip those two steps, the how is going to be impossible. It's too abstract to understand. And you can't get the how. The only thing you can get immediately is the what and the why. The how comes along with 5 years minimum, 10 years most likely.
Yeah.
And so people aren't willing to wait. They just want to skip those two steps. How do I know? I was that motherfucker.
Yeah.
For most of my life. I was like, no, let me just figure out how. Let me go around everyone. I thought I was clever enough to do that.
Yeah. You get to travel back in time as current Jeremy.
Yeah.
To tell 21-year-old Jeremy 3 things. What are they?
Save your money. Save your money. Stop listening to what other people tell you to do, and stop telling people, listening to people what they think of you. Don't do what they don't care what they think of you. Don't do what they say you should do, telling you what to do, and save your money.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Anything else?
No, I don't want to tip my 21-year-old self too much.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 things.
I think about, so I got into banking right after 07. It was 09.
Yeah.
And I'm almost lucky that I wasn't old enough to start making money before 06. I think about that often because people used to make their deposits and they're like, man, I used to, like, I would hear that a lot. And I used to always think that, man, if I was making money before, like these guys, like before, like man, it's almost a blessing. But then part of me was like, man, I wish I had a piece of that, but I don't know if I would have done right by it. You know, I don't know if I would have respected the money either.
No, it was too easy. It was not real. It made me a terrible individual. It did. Thank God. Like you said, I learned that lesson when I was 26, bankrupt at 36, 46, you know. So, no, I spent over $1,000 a day. I did whatever the fuck I wanted. Like you said, I had this extravagant lifestyle.
Being in Vegas, too, was it, did that help or hurt?
No, it was terrible. You know, they said the truth is truth. I mean, I was racing my Ferrari around the parking lot, peeling out the Spearmint Rhino in the middle of the night. Like, I was out of fucking control. Yeah. And everyone was out, you know, especially during that time. It was a terrible thing. But like I said, I'm glad I learned that lesson. But like, no, if I didn't learn that then, I'd be an asshole because I'd have no respect for hard work or money or, like you said, time or experience. And so it really was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
When I look back at it.
Was there either a piece of advice or a moment or something that somebody gave you, on your way to getting to where you've gotten to now?
I've had a lot of, help along the way. Anyone that says they're self-made, they're fucking liars. Run from them. Seriously. A lot of help from family, friends, colleagues, and really that helped me propel it. But it was always, like you said, me, keep going forward, failing forward. And really, especially the last 8 years, because before that, I didn't really try. I didn't. Like I said, the external ruled me. Market was going crazy. I made millions. Market crashes. I'm bankrupt and working for my mommy and lucky to have that. And so, no, I was like, I'm going to control my own destiny. If it doesn't work out, I can live with that for the first time. And so everyone's looking for some kind of shortcut or like no one ever told me anything, like, of course, had help along the way, but no one told me anything or did anything that's like, oh, this is why I'm there. It all success or failure relies solely on myself or yourself, whoever it is. It's no one else can do it for you. I try to have, like I said, I had some of the most capable people in the world around me, family and otherwise. No, that was resourceful of me, they would say, to try and get them, to build me up. But as soon as they were gone, I'd crash below. And that's why I don't do that for people anymore. I realized that you're right here, but then I can make fucking magic happen for people. So I take you here. But as soon as I'm gone, you don't go back to where you were before. You go down to here. So that was never for them. That was for myself to make me feel self-important and for my fucking ego. And so that's why I don't do it, because I'm not helping them. It made me feel good. And so, oh, look, they're crashing and burning without me. No, they didn't go back to where they were. And that goes for anyone doing that. So you have to do it yourself. If no one wants to hear this shit.
Yeah.
I learned it, fell flat on my fucking face, like you said, for so many years, until I got my act together. I did. No one did shit for me. I had to do it myself. Yeah. Anyone that tried to like carry my dead weight only prolonged my agony, to be honest with you.
Well, one of my last questions is, what are 3 truths or standards that you live your life by?
That's a good one. So a big thing that people, like you said, know me by is that I don't break my word. I will, if I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. Hell or high water. I will do it. And people really look up to me for that. It shouldn't be the case because it's so not as, I wish I could take credit for me. That should be the standard, but the standard's so fucking low. They don't. So, I mean, you have to keep your word. You have to stop blaming, stop being a fucking victim. I don't care who did what to you. It might have been someone. It doesn't matter. In everything where shit went wrong, if there are outside things or people involved, it was because I put myself with them.
Yeah.
Whether in business, in family, relationships, I'm nobody's, hostage. I'm not anyone's prisoner. No, I decided to have these people around, so it's 100% my fucking fault. And wants to blame everyone else. Keep your word. Don't blame others. And you have to keep trying. Like, that's the big, I keep talking about, is that if the only way you lose is if you give up. It's just the only way. Yeah. I figured that out. It took me, like you said, it took me along to 80% of my life to figure it out. If you don't quit, you win. The only way you lose is if you quit.
Yeah.
So people are like, fuck, it's not going to work out. No, it's going to work out unless you quit.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, I love those. And I just want to acknowledge you. You have this very direct, no BS approach to everything, but it's from a good place because you've said it multiple times, like you used to be these things.
Oh, 100%. I embodied all this shit.
Yeah.
It makes me sick just thinking about it, but I decided instead of being sick about it to learn from it. And now since I learned from it, I can be like, don't make the same mistakes as me.
Yeah.
I can improve other people's lives from it.
Yeah.
And that's what it's really about. If everything's just about you, you're going to be fucking lonely and miserable. I don't care what it looks like on the outside. A lot of facades out there. So, as you know, people, if you don't know, yeah, most people put out a fake facade. They're dead inside. They're miserable inside. They don't care how much money they have. I've had this conversation. I want to actually bring it up like with a few people, so I think it's pertinent, is that like 3 or 4 people the last month have been like, oh, well, this person has money, so they're winners. I'm like, actually, most people I know that have money are the biggest fucking losers I know. Biggest ones. So, well, people define the quality of an individual by how much money they have, which is absurd on its face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And monsters. I know monsters that have money. Like, they're literally monsters. They destroy a whole village if they could, if it benefited them. And that's someone you admire that. You look up to that. It's fucking ludicrous as far as I'm concerned. And so
Gotcha.
It's a huge thing that, yeah, people value money, wealth, and they overlook all these other things, which I did in the past with people. No, like the biggest losers I know are rich as fuck, but they're still losers. They're like, I'm like, how could you say that? They're successful. I'm like, that's your narrow capitalistic like matrix fucking definition that's been shoved up your freaking you know what to get you to conform to that so they can just walk all over you. Here's a shit sandwich. It's delicious, right? Yeah, thank you. That's what's going on in the world today, in my opinion. Social media makes it much worse. They worship this money success. How do I know? I used to be like that. It's like, oh my God, I want to be like him. And he would be a piece of shit when I got to know him.
It's crazy how a lot of what you see isn't what it actually is. And there's social media does make it worse because I'm learning about this stuff too. Like
right. And it goes for insurance and in everything. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm not just this transcends all business, relationship, just life. It transcends all of it. It applies to everything. Like the facade is crazy. It's really bad. Or interrupt you, I apologize, is that all these people have these value systems that are so out of whack. And it's causing people to worship.
Gotcha.
Worship money. And especially when there's inflation and people, like I said, there's no free money from the government and the market's not cracking, they just go to that and overlook everything else.
A lack of money does kind of sometimes bring out the worst in people.
In desperate times, desperate measures. I get it.
Yeah, I've seen sometimes like when stuff happens to me or when stuff comes at me sideways, I have to evaluate the situation. A lot of times it's like it's like Snickers, like, they're not themselves because, they're hungry, but it's like they're not themselves because they're broke.
Right.
Here's another question. Dealing with some of the clientele that you have, I'm pretty sure you run into a lot of real deal Holyfield people too, though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm saying for the noise, all the noise out there, you have to learn how to, like you said, I'm just learning every day how to filter that out.
Yeah.
For everyone that's full of shit, there's someone that's absolutely true to their word. And vice versa. Life is about figuring that out, or, figure out what you actually, it's really about you. I had people motherfuck me and rip me off and lie to me and X, Y, and Z, because I really felt on a conscious or subconscious level, that's what I deserved. That's the truth of it.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I didn't deserve that anymore, I was like, no more users, losers, liars, or thieves, and got rid of all of them. And didn't look back and was like, oh, but I like them. I like a lot of them. It didn't matter why. Oh, but I love her. Nope. My life immediately improved.
Yeah.
Because I had some fucking self-respect.
Yeah.
And that was what was missing. That's what I'm saying. Everyone's like, how do I sell this house? Or how do I get this insurance policy? None of that matters. Yeah. You have to be like good with you.
Yeah.
And see the world as it is as best you can and learn from when you fuck up, which will be every day.
Yeah.
And be okay with that. And you're going to get rich after that. You really are.
Yeah.
That's the byproduct of that. And I wanted it the opposite way.
Yeah. Some people are not themselves on camera. And I would agree that it does take a lot of reps to finally just be comfortable and just be you.
It takes years.
You know, sometimes my wife, when she turns on a camera, I start acting stupid. And I'm like, I'm not even acting like this. Like, why do I get all weird when as soon as she turns the camera on? I can talk in front of YouTube cameras all day long. My wife puts up a camera, I just start acting weird. And I have to evaluate myself like, why am I like this? How did you get comfortable? How did you get to a place where you're like, I can be authentically like me on camera?
Practice.
Yeah.
And like I said, actually not caring. I had to start caring again, not to go back, you know, and go in circles with you, but I had to start caring what I thought about myself and not what anyone else did. Like, how would anyone respect me if I didn't respect myself? If I believed in nothing, why would anyone fucking believe in me about anything?
Yeah.
And so some people say these are big existential questions. Yeah, I would agree. That's the important stuff. The other stuff doesn't you'll get to laugh your ass off. Anyone that's on this path, going through or about to, in a few months, years, weeks, wherever you're at, you're going to laugh your ass off if you listen to this because you're like, oh my God, it's true. Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
The self-work, the inner.
You can't fool yourself.
Yeah.
Like I tell people all the time, I'm like, you can try to fool me, but you can't, you're only lying to yourself.
Yeah.
So I was lying to myself.
Yeah.
Pretending like everything was cool.
Yeah.
Oh, when I was like, no, this isn't cool. I need to change. I think I got better at everything that I did, and better with my friends and my family and my business, with relationships and et cetera, like with children. You know, I'm a very high pace. That doesn't apply, you know, to little kids. Why the fuck would a little kid understand? Was so like, it's about me, and dead in my ways. I'm like, no, I can't run little kids over like when I'm in a courtroom, you know. Or I remember my exes would say, like, you're not in a courtroom, Jeremy, when you'd be arguing. No, I just wanted to make it all about me and all about being right. No, it was not good for me. It wasn't good for anyone else. And when I saw what other people, their perspective, not to like, everyone's like, oh, you got to be in other people's shoes. I think that's impossible. But to acknowledge that there's other possibilities of seeing things out there, that's enough. That's enough. And that's what everyone has to do.
Yeah. So, Mr. Jeremy Lewis, how can people find you on social media? I know you're on all the platforms. How can they connect with you?
The best way is to reach out to me on Instagram. My handle's Jeremy Lewis Vegas Realtor. I know it's a long handle, but I love it and everyone should have something like that, regardless, because it tells my audience or anyone who I am, where I'm at, and what I do.
Yeah.
So that's why I have it. Jeremy Lewis Vegas Realtor at Instagram. You can find me Jeremy Lewis on Facebook. You can hit YouTube, but no, Instagram's the way. I always return, messages when people do that. I'm come from the school, Gary V, School of Social Media. So yeah, anyone that's too good to interact or to create, opportunities and see what lies beyond, and people reach out or engage, they're completely wrong, in my opinion. And I learned that from Gary V. And I felt the same way too. But like you said, he really pushed that. And yeah, if you want to work together, you have any questions, like you said, I'm here to help. I don't know what I can do for you. It's more what I can tell you or show you how to do for yourself. But it really changed your life, I think. It did. It changed mine. Whether
you're in mortgage, insurance, or any industry, follow Jeremy. You guys can get a ton of value just by watching his feet, watching how he moves.
I love that.
As well as just also, if you're moving to Vegas, he might be able to help you.
Yeah.
So
20 years in the business last week. Proud of that. To anyone doing anything for that long, like you said, anyone, I appreciate it. It means you're on the right path. I'm still going. I'm not, my body of work is not complete, but like you said, I stuck with something. It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good. And you said it allows me to represent my clients the best. So yeah, if you're moving to Vegas, you're in Vegas, look me up. I'd be appreciate the opportunity to work with you.
Yeah. Everyone's moving here, so it's a perfect
Exactly.
time. Well, if you guys tuned in this far, thank you guys so much. Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
You know the drill.
Peace.